let's bring Lang Greene into the show from hoopsworld.com. Lang Greene, are you on the show with us?
Yes, I am. What's going on, guys?
Hey, Lang, we were just about to transition. We were talking about the Celtics and the Heat. Well, we're going to save that because there's so much that we could talk about there. And I'm Rick Rivers, by the way. But we were just to talk about, we were transitioning into the job that OKC has done. You know, down in the series 0-2, a young ball club has to fly back to take it back to their arena, and then to win 4 straight. I think it says something about not just that young team, but also the coaching and the preparation for that young team as well to keep them poised, ready for the rest of the series.
Yeah, I think one guy that, is pretty unsung here is Kendrick Perkins. The trade that they made last year, giving up Jeff Green to bring in Kendrick Perkins. He really has provided a veteran presence for that team. The young guys really, really buy into Scott Brooks, coaching. And then I think it says something when, your 2 top guys, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, both signed, early extensions saying that, they want to be there, especially in this day and age where, top guys are trying to go to bigger markets. So you have a strong dynamic there, which is, really led to a strong team chemistry amongst, OKC. And, I mean, they're going to be tough out for anybody they face going forward.
Yeah, and that's what I see as well, man. I think they got young legs, about 23 years old, Kevin Durant, Westbrook. So what you're looking at is that this young team, if this is, say, Boston closes this series out and you got a more veteran team, I'm almost think that this young team can challenge that veteran team and maybe shorten that series as well. I almost feel like they're destined to win this entire thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you start looking at the path that OKC's taken to the finals, I mean, they have beaten veterans. I mean, they've taken out Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks, defending champions from last year, by the way, swept them, took out Kobe Bryant, 5 championship rings, easily dismantled them in the second round, and then, like you mentioned before, took out the San Antonio Spurs, closed them out, win 4 straight against a team who had won 20 straight and 30 of 33. I tell you what, at this point, you might have to wonder, like, who's the next veteran team to be added to the mix? Is it going to be KG, Ray, and Paul Pierce, adding, to the OKC mantle?
Do you think Kevin Durant right now is that guy right now? Because there was a race between him and Kevin and LeBron. Is he now kind of surfaced as the top guy in the league by lifting his team into the finals? Or do we have to wait and see if LeBron makes it to really decide who can become the catalyst for this league next year?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, you got LeBron. He has 3 MVPs, 2 finals appearances. If he can somehow overcome the Boston Celtics, he'll have 3 finals appearances throughout his career. He also led a team, to the finals when he was, I believe, 22, 23, around that same age. But I'll tell you what, I mean, who's the best in the league is always one of those mythical matchups, unless you're talking about guys like, Michael Jordan, or Larry Bird and Magic Johnson in their primes. But Kevin Durant is definitely in the discussion. I mean, you cannot dispute what the guys put together. He's an all-star, soon to be an Olympic medalist. And you really just look at, 3 scoring titles. I mean, he's coming into his own, and the guy hasn't even reached his prime yet. You really have to place him in the discussion anytime you're talking about the NBA's top 5. Anytime, he has to be there.
Now, let me see. Now, they go to the finals. Let's say they win the finals, which I think Oklahoma, I think they're going to be either Boston or the Heat. Like, you have these 3 young guys. How are they going to be able to keep their whole team? Ibaka he only makes $1 million. Like, he has like 1 more year left. Like, I think I can see a dynasty with this team, but I can see them winning 3 out of the next 5 titles, three titles in the next 5 years. Like, how do you keep some of these guys?
I mean, if they win it this year, then they're going to be a juggernaut. I'll tell you what. I mean, just making it to the finals this time around for a young team like that really gets the monkey off the back. They can play loose. When you go to war with guys, you understand their likes, their dislikes. You understand who's going to show up, where they're going to show up, where they like the ball. Oklahoma City actually overcoming that hump, getting to the finals this year, win or lose. I mean, they're going to be fixtures for the next 5 to 7, 8 years, possibly longer, in that Western Conference. Now, the big thing with them is, okay, James Harden and Serge Ibaka. The big deal is, can you keep both? And if you keep both, you have to gut some of the rest of your team. A guy like Kendrick Perkins might have to, be removed from the situation. And then now your team, has 3 or 4 guys at the top of the salary food chain, and you're filling the roster with veteran minimum guys. And now you might look like the Miami Heat because, you have so much money invested to your top 3 or 4 guys. So, it's going to be tough decisions for, Oklahoma City going forward. But like you said, if they can keep that core together, remain injury-free, and bring in solid complementary guys who understand their roles, and they're going to be tough to stop. I mean, they're just an absolutely wonderful team to watch.
Hey, let's do this, Edgar and Lang. Let's look at OKC going into the finals. Let's debate this for a second and have some fun with it. Who would you say in this roster is the most pivotal guy on that roster? Just to kind of that can lead them. This is the guy who's going to anchor their success in this final. So when you look at it and you look at their roster, whether they face Boston or Miami, who's that guy in that roster you say the most pivotal guy that's going to anchor their success and why?
I have to say Kevin Durant. I have to call chalk on this one. And the reason being is he's the guy who's going to bring it 30 points a night. LeBron is going to have to guard him. LeBron is such a pivotal part of Miami's offense. If he's off, Miami's completely off. You can just look at the plus and minus stats. When LeBron's not on the court, Miami really struggles. And now if they make it to the finals, LeBron has to, take a strong defensive stance against KD, and that's a tough guard for anyone. So you really have to say if Kevin Durant's on his A game, pumping in 34, 35 a night on solid shooting, Miami's going to have a rough time.
Edgar, what's your view? Who's your pivotal guy in the OKC roster?
I would say Russell Westbrook. I mean, he has to, step up and be a point guard and make sure that everyone gets the ball in their right spots, and also he has to make sure that he's aggressive and he's able to, get off and shoot 50%. A lot of games in the Spurs series, he was shooting, 8 of 24, 9 of 24. He never really had that game where he shot, 11 of 20, 12 of 20, and he needs that type of game if he's playing against, Miami and Boston.
Hey, So you guys picked the stars, right? You guys got Westbrook, and we know that the stars have to be stars, whether it be Pierce and Pierce and Allen, if those guys are in the final, whether it be LeBron and Wade. See, my guy on that roster, who I think is the pivotal guy in OKC helping them, I'm going to go with Derek Fisher. Derek Fisher, in his 16-year career, this is like the 8th time he's been to the finals. He's on his way to surpass Kobe possibly as getting his 6th ring. Just know, that decisive game last night, he played the entire 4th quarter. So he's the guy that they're going to rely on for veteran and leadership in this stretch right here. Those guys are young. They haven't been there. Derek Fisher has been there 8 times right now, and he's playing big minutes. So if Derek Fisher can kind of anchor them and give them the leadership that they need, and Derek Fisher plays an important role in their focus. He gets them focused. He kind of goes over, and there's a lot of times where you see where Scott Brooks will step out of the huddle, and Derek Fisher will lead the huddle and talking to those guys and keeping them poised. And they look up to that guy. They look for him. I see Kevin Durant looking for him, trying to get him going in the offense. My guy in terms of the anchor in that OKC thing is Derek Fisher. I think if he does some good things and he comes up big, and we're talking about him going into his 6th ring, and if he decides to go for another year, he's like the new Robert Horry of the NBA, possibly.
Right.
The guy that's not actually an all-star, but may be in position to have some more rings than Kobe and some of the stars of this league, some of the superstars. So he's my pivotal player that I want to put the spotlight on going into this finals. Because I think when you're talking that, whether it be the Celtics or the Heat, you're going to look for those supporting guys to really step up and kind of have and shine. And that's going to be the difference in those series.
Yeah, but I got a question for Lane. Lane, I just with the whole LeBron, let's say they lose today, or if they go to Game 7 and win and go to the finals, and he loses to Oklahoma City, where do you say his career is at that he would go to the finals 3 times and he lost in the finals 3 times?
You know, it really depends on how he plays in the finals. If he goes out there and lays another egg, you know, in the late game situations like he did last year, he's really, I mean, the pressure is just going to explode. I mean, you know, Twitter might shut down, ESPN's going to go into overload. I mean, I don't know how that guy would, you know, focus, you know, on the game of basketball if he lays another goose egg in the finals. Now, if he goes out in the finals and he averages 30 and 10 and, you know, actually plays decent in the fourth quarter and, you know, his supporting cast doesn't step up, then, you know, the LeBron haters are going to hate regardless. But I think, you know, amongst hardcore fans, I think, you know, he'll have some respect. But, you know, legends are basically made, you know, in these crucial times. I mean, it's man's game in the playoffs and in the finals especially. And, you know, some of the all-time greats have been final MVPs, and it's not a coincidence. So he has to, if he wants to add his name to that mantle, Rick, you know, he has to step it up. I couldn't imagine if he goes out and stinks up the joint again. I wouldn't want to be that guy at all. Top guys are trying to go to bigger markets, so you have a strong dynamic there, which is, you know, really led to a strong team chemistry amongst, you know, OKC, and I mean they're going to be tough out for anybody they face going forward.
Yeah, and that's what I see as well, man. I think they got young legs, about 23 years old, Kevin Durant, Westbrook. So
you know, the trade that they made last year, giving up Jeff Green to bring in Kendrick Perkins, he really has provided a veteran presence for that team. The young guys really buy into Scott Brooks, you know, coaching, and then I think it says something when, you know, your 2 top guys, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, both signed, you know, early extensions, saying that, you know, they want to be there, especially in this day and age where, you know,
down in the series 0-2, a young ball club have to fly back to take it back to the arena, and then to win 4 straight. I think it says something about not just that young team, but also the coaching and the preparation for that young team as well to keep them poised, ready for the rest of the series.
Yeah, I think one guy that, you know, is pretty unsung here is Kendrick Perkins.
Looking at it is that this young team, if this is, say, Boston closes this series out and you got a more veteran team, I'm almost think that this young team can challenge that veteran team and maybe shorten that series as well. I almost feel like they're destined to win this entire thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you start looking at the path that OKC's taken to the finals, I mean,
let's bring Lang Greene into the show from hoopsworld.com. Lang Greene, are you on the show with us?
Yes, I am. What's going on, guys?
Hey, Lang, we were just about to transition. We were talking about the Celtics and the Heat. Well, we're going to save that because there's so much that we could talk about there. And I'm Rick Rivers, by the way. But we were just to talk about, we were transitioning into the job that OKC is